Hello everyone, we are going over some very cheap alcohol markers today. They are called MemOffice or MemOffice. This is a pack of 80 alcohol markers and I only paid $30 for these. The only real reason I'm doing this is because last week I was drawing my Pokemon into Monsters video and someone asked me to just use alcohol markers because I was mixing media on my first one. So I bought these because they were only $30 as opposed to like $300 Copic for 72. So I actually got 8 more markers for $30 instead of 300. So that's a tenth of the price.
Hoog Arts.
But looking at these, I mean, they do have a nice little travel case here. So I'm not going to boot them on that. I will say once you open it, they kind of do spread out and it's not as useful, but I mean, if you take them out and then you need to put them back in, it's not going to be hard to put these back into the case. So I will say thumbs up for their case. It's nice. And looking at the actual markers, they are square, which is not very comfortable as a marker. So I would say that comfort levels, I'd probably give it about a 6, but they're very clean in design. I mean, they have the same thing that any other alcohol marker would have, which is that cap right here and then a cap right here. And some of the logos, every once in a while I would find a logo that was like messed up or to the side or whatever. But when you're paying $30 for one of these, you're not gonna really care what the logo looks like on the marker. It did come with a colorless blender, which I'm very interested to see how that works with these markers. And if you open these markers, they do have chiseled tip brush. And then the other side, which is like a bullet point, which actually kind of comes to a tip, so it's pretty nice. Something I didn't think I'd have to worry about that is bothering me with these is the smell. They're definitely not the same alcohol smell that you would get from a nice expensive marker, but hopefully that's not a huge deal while I'm working with these. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and do a color splotch just to see how these markers look compared to their lid colors, which right away I'm seeing a variation with these markers compared to the color on their lids. That's not a huge disappointment because you can always have a test paper beside you while you work for the price that these markers are. All right, so these 4 colors match their lids a lot better, so I think it was just the blue. So far, I'm pretty pleased with what I have. Now let's try blending these. For this first blue color, I'm going to go ahead and use a dark blue. Okay, that's not too impressive for an alcohol marker, but let's try these other colors. All right, I'm seeing right away that the greens and the yellows blend a lot better than the reds, the blues, and the oranges. But I'm going to go ahead and use the colorless blender that they gave me to see if they blend these colors better than they have done already. Well, I'm going to say that the colorless blender is a fail because if you see this transition really just looks like they put rubbing alcohol in the marker, and they might have, but that kind of made like a burst effect. And then when I just transition with regular markers, and then this red just really blotchy and it bleeds the colors out. So if you had a line and you try to use this colorless blender, it would probably bleed out of your lines. And then again with this orange, and it looked like a burst of color. So I think if you wanted a texture, like an orange peel, I guess you could use this, but it's not good for blending colors the way that you would think. Like right here, where I blended with just the 2 different colors, you'd be better off just doing that. I will say that the lids do come off easily, so that is not a huge issue. I mean, it's not a perfect transition, but for a cheap marker, the lids are very cooperative. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little drawing and try to use these with my illustration markers to see how they cooperate with like my other markers. All right, so I have a cartoon dragon here that I drew real quick, and I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my light colors and bend into my dark colors with these markers, see how they blend, see how they work for like a quick piece of art. I did notice that the chisel tip brush laid down color way better than the bullet point. And the two issues that I really had were blendability, and then my illustration markers would bleed into the color sometimes. So those are definitely problems I didn't have with like quality alcohol markers. Well, with the results I got, I don't think that these are that bad considering I only paid $30 for them. And I do more refined pieces with my Pokemon that I did last week. I also use like jelly rolls and different materials and things, like mixing in my other more expensive markers and blenders to make these work a little better for my piece. So if you're going to add these to your arsenal, I do think that mixing it with your other markers will help get better quality. So let's go ahead and get a percentage of that, and 48 and 70, so that's a 68. So I do give a 6.8 rating to these. They are very cheap and inexpensive, but they have a lot of flaws, obviously, and that smell, I still have a headache. And I can't really explain the smell. It's like a sweet chemical smell. It's not good. So whatever are in these, I don't know if you should be breathing them in, but I have been for a while now. But if you're on a really tight budget, I do recommend them to go with like your other markers and things, not just by themselves, unless you just want to have like those vibrant colors. It's going to take a lot more time to blend these and put them together into like a professionally looking toned piece. So yeah, do what you will with that information, but I'm done. I'm done with these. I'm out. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel and hit that subscribe button if you have not already. But until next time, guys, you have fun. We'll see you later.